Shifting the discussion to stock performance, obviously, weakness in the sector. I know we should think long-term, stay the course. That's the message that most investors are getting from us. But, MSOs down about 25% over the last 3 months, S&P up 5%. Any thoughts on this sector malaise, if you want to call it that right now?
I don't know that I would have anything great to add to that. I think you're seeing operators, ourselves, our peers, just continue to get better. The growth is there. If you want to look at this month over month, you can. I can tell you, we didn't build Cresco to win Q3 of 21. You know what I mean? Like we have a longer vision here. Of course, being successful today and winning tomorrow is core to our beliefs, but the fundamentals, the businesses, the markets, they just continue to get better and better.
Hey everybody, Mo here. Today we're talking about the closing of an acquisition by Curaleaf, a new Cresco facility in Michigan, a newly planned Trulieve facility, and a couple of other things as well. Welcome to the Saturday, October 9th edition of Mary Jane Markets. This is a show covering the developing news of the North American cannabis sector every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, or thereabouts. I also analyze a few of its operators: Cresco Labs, Curaleaf, Green Thumb Industries, and Trulieve. The goal here is to do all of the due diligence I normally do as an investor in these companies and then provide that to you in a concise episode so you can stay updated and hopefully you find that valuable. I also provide my thoughts and opinions and hopefully that provides some value too. I don't have any broader sector news or government policy updates today, so let's jump right into company-specific news, the first of which is the closing of an acquisition by Curaleaf of Los Sueños Farms and its subsidiaries in Colorado. Colorado is a huge market. Last year they had $2.2 billion in legal sales, and that was only second to the California market. Prior to this deal, Curaleaf did have a presence in the state with just one processing facility, so this deal has accomplished two things. First, it expands their presence and cultivation capacity in the state to 66 acres, more than doubling their capacity in the state. And second, it vertically integrates them in the state, because as we'll see here in a second, they're buying more than just land. So this deal was announced back in May for $67 million, though that's not listed here, but did become public earlier in the year. We'll take a look at those details in a minute, but I just want to get through the rest of this press release first. So with this deal, Curaleaf gains 3 outdoor facilities in Pueblo, Colorado, covering 66 acres of cultivation capacity, including land, equipment, and licensed operating entities. So I misspoke about where this acreage number was coming from earlier. So it looks like they're getting all 66 acres from this deal. But you'll understand my confusion here in a second when we look at Los Sueños Farms website. But also in this deal, they're getting an 1,800 plant indoor grow and 2 retail dispensaries. So as I alluded to earlier, they're getting more than just the land. There are quite a few assets in this deal, though understandably that is what's being emphasized since Los Sueños is the largest producer in the state. They go on to say that Bob DeGabriel, the founder, will continue to oversee the operation and will take responsibility for all of Curaleaf's Colorado wholesale and retail businesses. So pretty cool. Where I was getting thrown off with that acreage number was from Los Sueños' site, which says they own 36 acres of farmland. So the rest I figured was coming from their existing presence, but that's not what the press release says. So the rest might be owned by the related entities that they refer to, or maybe they have plans of expansion. Anyway, I trust that Curaleaf knows what it's buying. Here is a press release from back in May. This contains some more information about the transaction, just for $67 million, like I mentioned before. And of that, $18 million is for real estate and farm assets, and the other $49 million is related to the operating companies. They also say that there are earnout arrangements up to $8 million. That's probably there to align the existing founder and management's incentives to continue to perform after the deal is done. The breakdown of that $67 million is 61% in stock, or almost $41 million, 29% in cash, or $19.4 million, and 10% in 5-year debt, or $6.7 million. In terms of the stock, if we use the closing price from the date of the press release we were just looking at, $11.48, that comes out to just over 3.5 million shares. That's not the share price that they're going to use, but gives us a rough estimate. In terms of dilution, that's 0.5% of shares outstanding. So I don't think that's a bad deal for a legitimate foothold in the second largest legal market in the country. All right, next up is Cresco Labs' expansion in Michigan. Earlier this week, they opened their new and improved 100,000 square foot facility that will be used for cultivation and processing for Cresco products in the state of Michigan. I believe this is their only presence in the state. They don't have any retail dispensary licenses. I'm sure they're vying for those. Michigan's adult use market has been doing great since they recreationalized $985 million in sales in 2020. Cresco has some of the most popular branded products in the industry, so I have confidence that they're getting their products on the shelves of these dispensaries even though they don't own the storefront themselves. Sure, they're not capturing those retail margins yet, but I don't think that's weighing too heavily on the mind of the CEO, Charlie Bachtell, who we talked about in the last episode, and I had mentioned his vision of Cresco Labs becoming the type of company that Anheuser-Busch is, rather than owning a chain of storefront liquor stores. All right, next up is a purchase made by Trulieve in Pennsylvania. This news broke earlier in the week. They bought 3 buildings across 37 acres of land with plans to create a 508,000 square foot processing and cultivation facility. That's a very large grow op. And Pennsylvania is shaping up to be a nice medicinal market, and when all is said and done, I expect it to be the 6th largest market in the nation. But at this stage, this seems like overkill, so what's going on here? And we haven't talked about Trulieve's business model specifically on this show yet. Trulieve's strategy is to set up hubs around the country. So they've split up the country into different regions, and they're picking and choosing where they want to set up their hubs. We'll talk about this more in a future episode, but I think Pennsylvania here is shaping up to be one of those hubs. But continuing on with this Post-Gazette article, the deal was for $10.37 million for these 3 buildings, and these are adjacent to 2 other buildings that they already own from a deal from last year. All right, a couple of other things happened that I wanted to bring to your attention. So we touched on this in the last episode, that Curaleaf was facing a lawsuit in Oregon over their product mix-up. Yesterday, MJBiz reporting that now there are 4 lawsuits regarding this incident. We had kind of speculated that it was going to grow from just that one. This could grow some more, but I expect these to be settled. As of now, there are only 13 people reported to have taken the mislabeled product, and that's coming from the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission. So unless the state attorney or AG get involved, I don't really expect it to go any further than that, and probably a state fine. The other thing I wanted to talk about real quick was the news that Senators Warren and Booker were calling on the Attorney General to decriminalize cannabis, going as far as to send a letter, and this is based on under the 1970 CSA. The Attorney General can remove a substance from the list in consultation with the Secretary of the HHS based on the finding that it does not have the potential for abuse. So I'm not sure what more there is to say about that, but I did want to acknowledge it and put it on your radar. All right, that is it for today. Thank you for listening. If you want to contact me, my Twitter is @MJMarkets. I also have a Patreon set up. That's patreon.com/MaryJaneMarkets. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, share it out, all those good things. Thanks so much, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.